and when I can start talking and whatnot. But I'm doing a video. I didn't think I was going to do this video. I was just going to do this, post this. I made this deck, and it's gone really, really well. A lot of people that come to my stream. I'm very, by the way, if everybody comes to my stream, it really means a lot to me. I'm not a big name streamer, but everybody comes to my deck, and I have a small core audience now, and I really appreciate that. People that like my decks and like to see them played, and there's good feedback, good banter. So I really appreciate. It means a lot to me. It really does. And thank you all for following. But this deck is everybody's really liked it. I've got a lot of great responses on the Discord forum. Gwent Discord, you should join if you haven't. People really like this deck. It's very strong. Also, it is good morning. Also, it is it's just very strong, and it's unique. So it's been going really well. So let's I'm all tongue tied in this video. Let's look at it, shall we? Now other big YouTube creators will have edit buttons and be able to do cool stuff. I'm not doing that yet, so you can get all the glitches with it. Part of my charm. So Monster XL, it's with Dagon, and this is I'm kind of playing with this idea. A lot of people think that when you see Dagon, Dagon's only used for weather decks. So this is part of already what makes this deck a little unique. This deck isn't a weather deck. There's some weather elements to it, which where Dagon comes in, but you don't have to build an exclusive all-weather deck with Dagon. And my weather deck, my Ultimate Weather Control deck, which I already have 2 videos out on my YouTube channel, also a very popular deck, doesn't use Dagon. Use Aridin. I've made 3 monster decks with all 3 faction leaders, all very distinct and different. And this is Dagon's. So for Dagon, I use the ability that I'm going to, as you can see, look at that strength, 121 power. It's very strong. All in the back row, 25 cards. Hashtag 25. All siege. So if you look at it, you start off with the Archgriffin, Mana Core, 10. All the Crones, a Giant Toad, 3 Drowners, 3 Griffins, 3 Archgriffins. So here's all the combos in the deck. There's a lot to it. First of all, when you look at it, you see that they're all big. 10s, 7s, 5s, more 7s, 6s, 5s, and then all the golds are 8s and 7s. Well, the reason why I started this deck is I made it because of Draug. I got Draug in a card pack, and I was like, this guy is strong. But if I have my normal decks, they have a lot of Wild Hunt Warriors at 3 strength, Foglets at 2 strength. There's a lot of things that are just low strength in the monster decks that this guy would destroy. So what if I made a deck that had all big creatures in it that he would be impervious to? And then I thought, but how could I get the opponent down to 3s and 2s? Well, I could do ping decks, and I can do, I can have like down for tremors and swipes and manticores. That's one way of doing it. I decided to combine it with weather, and that's where Dagon comes in, and some light weather elements with some of the creatures that already bring in weather, like frost and fog. So it's a little light weather on the first 2 rows only, and you're basically swarming the board and controlling the board with weather on the first 2 boards. Light weather control. I mean, you're not going to have it's not as weather intensive as my other decks. So that's basically what you do. You swarm it, you weather control it, or you stand for tremor it, or you Draug it and you destroy it. Now, each card has a role. Every single card in this deck has a role, which is really kind of cool. So the Manticore, his role is very simple: be big. Also, he's protection. He's right off the box, Scorch protection for the Crones. And Crones are actually the centerpiece to this deck, and have won a lot of the games because the Crones are 21 points with 1 card, which is big and hard to overcome without playing 2 or 3 cards, or 4 cards generally, but 3 cards at least from your opponent to 1 card of yours, because the Crone only takes one card, and she's protected. The Giant Toad is synergistic with the Drowners, which kind of makes sense. So if you have these 2 in your opening hand, that's the dream. So you Giant Toad, you eat a Drowner, he becomes a 12, which gives you Scorch protection for who? The Crones. Also, you can draw a card with it. So you have a 12 cost minion right on the board, and you draw a card. These guys' role is just to be eaten, really. Eaten or scorched. And how else can they be scorched? Well, if you put a Drowner out, let's say the Toad isn't there, you put a potion on him, he's a 15. That's a big threat. They usually don't scorch them right away because the good players will wait. They're not going to waste their scorch on round 1, but you don't care. You're just trying to put a 15 out and throw the crones behind them, and right there you have 36 points round 1 pass. 36 points round 1, very hard to overcome. Generally your opponent's going to pass at that time too, unless they have an answer. But you'll have at least a 15 or 7 on the board starting round 2, which is really good because of the monster's ability. The Griffin's role in this deck is very simple. It's a hard counter to Northern Realms bounce around decks, and also Skellige graveyard decks. You can eat their, take it, and you move it away from them, so you can take away all those, cards that bounce back and things like that. It's just nasty. It's won me a game just by eating some of the cards he was looking for later rounds in Skellige. So that's why they're there. Archgriffins are here simply because, just in case, you run against a Northern Realms Siege or any other kind of Siege deck, or Scoia'tael decides they're going to pull everything back to the Siege row because they're very versatile, you can rain both sides of the board. And you'd be like, oh man, you're kind of raining your people too. Well, you're not with Archgriffin. And it acts as a heal. Many games I've been playing with this deck, and people, because your creatures are so big, they're going to be pinging it. Little pings, little things from Skellige or Scoia'tael pinging your guys, or another monster deck pinging your guys. Rain the board out. Play the Archgriffin. It acts as a full heal. Brings you back to the original strength. So it's like a not only is it a weather control part clearing the weather, but it's a heal. So he's my healer. I actually have a healer in the deck, an Archgriffin, which is amazing, and it works really well. And the gold cards, Imlerith, it's basically, if you played Hearthstone, having an 8 strength minion that comes with a swipe, yeah, you're gonna put that in there. You just are. Caranthir, Spawn Frost, and 2 Wild Hunt Hounds. Now, he's kind of anti-synergistic with Draug, because Draug kills the Wild Hunt, but it doesn't matter because you're using 4 points. They're losing a lot more if you played it right. So you gotta play it right. Draug is the beast, destroys everything. Woodland Spirit spawns Fog and 3 Rabid Wolf units. He kind of hurts a little bit, but he does bring a little bit of weather, because he does spawn some things, and at the end of the round you could end up being with a wolf instead of one of your big beefies. So use Woodland Spirit, with a grain of salt, usually at the end game, to drown someone out. You don't use him round 1 if you can help it, because then you're stuck with possibly a wolf going into round 2. So you got to play it smart. So there's a couple cards you have to play, thinking ahead a little bit, as opposed to just throwing everything out there. Like, you can't play Draug and there's nothing on the other side of the board. It just doesn't work. What you want to try to do is pick everything down, and I'm going to have a gameplay video on this, but you pick everything down and you kind of control them at 3. Make sure that everything's at 3, and then just blast the board. Just wipe the board. It's very devastating for the team. So, back to the row, you have Impenetrable Fog and Snow, just 1 each, because you have Dagon. Stanford's Tremor synergizes with Draug. 2 potions and a White Frost. Again, White Frost very invaluable because it freezes the melee and range row, which gives you clear skies on the back row. And that's the deck. It's just very, very simple in concept. It's very fun to play because you have to utilize power and think about who you're playing. So the better you are at playing the game, the better this deck is, because you can now pass appropriately. In other words, when you get a point advantage, a significant point advantage in a round, you pass and let them work by using all the cards they need to catch up to your big power. You don't have to match them card for card. Your cards are better, generally, point-wise than their cards. So let them come to you. Play that first round, put some big minions on the board, a Manticore, a Toad that eats something, a Drowner with a potion, something like that, and the Crones. You always get the Crones in your starting hand, mulligan for them. You don't want 2 Crones in your starting hand, obviously. If you're playing against Northern Realms or Skellige, you want to try to have a Griffin in your hand. If you're playing against a monster deck, those are tough matchups for everybody. Not tough as in unbeatable, but they're going to be good defensive battles. You don't necessarily want to go with your weather. You don't necessarily need weather against a monster deck. They'll bring it for you. But maybe an Archgriffin in your hand would be a good idea to have in that case. In case they rain your back row, you can just blow it out of there. So that's the deck. It's called Monster XL, as in Monster Extra Large, because they're big, beefy monsters. I'm Shifu with the cards. Please follow, like, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for voting on this deck. I am at 12, and I really appreciate that. It means a lot. I've had some people go through my decks and downvote. Some people that are kind of, I guess, I don't know, jealous, I guess would be a word. I don't know what their reasoning is, but they're voting all my decks down. So I appreciate y'all voting for me. It means a lot. And thank you very much. And I hope to see you in Gwent. And remember, Gwent After Dark is coming on Sundays at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time in the Americas, which I think is like 8 or 9 in Europe. So keep in mind, we will be filming every Sunday at 2 p.m. And I do stream every day. Shifu for the Cards, Twitch TV. Y'all have a good one. It's my honor to do this for y'all. Thanks.